Swifter, collect your thoughts because we're going to learn about collection views in this video. We're going to learn the similarities between table views and collection views. We're going to create a custom UI collection view cell, and we're going to add images using system name to access SF symbols. By the time you're done, your weather gift app will look magnificent, and you'll have this luxurious collection view that scrolls horizontally, showing hourly weather with different icons and a projection of the likelihood of precipitation. Let's go! And Swifters, as we build out this app, we're going to show a raindrop indicator if there is a greater than 20% chance for rain. So I've created a PDF file that you can use that's just a blue image of a raindrop. And you can find this at a Google Drive that you can access at the URL bit.ly/ all in lowercase prof-g-swift-files. That'll open a Google Drive. Just right-click on the file named raindrop.pdf. Select download. I'm going to save mine to the desktop. If your browser doesn't ask you where to save the file, it's probably saving it to your downloads folder. And if you want to change your browser settings to ask you for a save location, just search online for instructions. Then I'll open my WeatherGift workspace in Xcode. I'll open my assets catalog, and I'll drag my raindrop into my assets catalog. Now it's a PDF, so it should resize fine for 2x and 3x sizes. We're only going to be showing an image that's 8 points by 12 points, so it'll look fine. And then let's get into the main storyboard where we can set up our collection view. Now our collection view is going to go right above our table view. So I'll click to select my table view, then I'll drag the top edge. So I'll click right on this little white handle right in the middle of the top of the table view, and I'll drag down to make a space just a little over 70 pixels large. Don't worry about the precision. We'll adjust it perfectly in just a bit. So just eyeball it so that you've got something a little bit larger than 70 pixels. Then click the library, search for the collection view, drag it into the space so that the top left corner of the collection view is aligned with the bottom left corner of our teal view, and then drag the right side of the collection view so that it spans the width of the iPhone. Then with the collection view selected, click Add New Constraints. So the top should be 0 from the current view, the left should be 0 from the safe area, the right should be 0 from the safe area, and we'll set the height to 70. Then add 4 constraints. And this is quirky. Xcode didn't set the top constraint of the collection view properly, so if you find that you have a gap here too, you can just click on the line that separates the gap between the collection view and the teal view, and then up in the attributes inspector where it says vertical space constraint, I'm going to change the constant to 0, and I can see my collection view readjusted. Then click to select the collection view, and in the size inspector, set the cell size to width of 70 and height of 70. Then down here in min spacing, the default is probably 10 for cells and 10 for lines. You want to set those to 0 and 0 as well. And then under estimate size, pull down. It might say automatic by default, select custom. And you should see that this box on the left-hand side of your collection view is now resized to 70 by 70. And that box represents the dimensions of the collection view cell. Now let's adjust the top constraint of the table view so that it's even with the bottom of the collection view. And so to do this, I'm going to click on my table view, and you'll see this orange line representing the distance between the top of the table view and the bottom of the teal view. Sometimes it's a little tough to click, but you want to click to select that line. And you'll know you've selected it properly when the attributes inspector says vertical space constraint. That means, we've highlighted this item and we can change its attributes. So we're going to change this constraint that we just selected. The pull down next to the first item should say tableview.top, and that's correct, so we don't need to change that. The second item should say view.bottom. So pull down the second item and change from view.bottom to collection view, and when you let go, the second item should now read collectionview.bottom. And then change the constant to 0. So mine originally said 25 because my gap between the collection view bottom and my table view was 25, but set it to 0, and when you press return, you should see that your table view's top aligns perfectly with the bottom of the collection view. Now let's add our interface elements. First up is the label that shows the hour, so click on Library, find a label, drag it over, position it right at the top of the collection view cell. Then with the label selected, I'll go into the attributes inspector, select font, custom font. This will be Avenir Next, regular. I'll set it to 16 points. I'll set the alignment to center, and I'll change the text in here to read 13 p.m. Just placeholder text with a value it should never be. So if I see this in my executing app, I know that I've got a problem. And the hourly temp label is going to have identical attributes. So with my hour label clicked, I'll select Command D to duplicate, move the duplicate label to the bottom, and I'll change the text to read 100 degrees. And again, it's Shift Option 8 for the degree symbol. Now it's time for an image view to hold the icon, so up to Library again, Search for an image view. These are tough to position, but just drag it right into the center of the collection view cell, let go. Then up in the size inspector, we'll set X to 20, Y to 20, and width to 30, and height to 30, and that should position it perfectly. Then I'll click on the attributes inspector, and I'll set the image to cloud. Now this is the SF symbols cloud, so this is a standard system image that's available in Xcode. Then I want another label for precipitation percentage, so I'll click on my 13 PM label, Command D to duplicate it. I'll decrease the font size from 16 to 10. I'll change the text to read 100% and set the alignment to right justified. I'll resize this label and position it over on the right side of the collection view cell. And I'm going to change the font to Avenir Next Condensed. That positions the letters a little closer together, which I think is a better look for this. Then I'll position the preset percentage. I'll click the cloud image and change the tint to dark text color so that the cloud now has a black outline instead of blue. And I'll change the color of the precip percentage to system blue color. And then we're ready to add our image view for the raindrops. So I'm just going to click on the image view with the cloud in it, Command D to duplicate it, move the duplicate to the right side of the collection view, then go up to the size inspector and change the dimensions to a width of 8 and a height of 12. Then I'll click on the attributes inspector and I'll change the image from cloud to raindrop. And I'll position the image view, but it looks like I need to press enter after selecting the raindrops. So I'll make sure that I've got the right image in there, and our new collection view interface is looking good with a nicely designed collection view cell. So now that we've built the interface for the collection view and the collection view cell, let's see what we need to do to code it up. And you'll see that working with a collection view is remarkably similar to how we deal with table views, and we've already seen table views several times. So understanding collection view should be simple if you think about table views. So why don't we ask ourselves the same key questions we do whenever we work with a new iOS feature? Do we need frameworks with collection views? No. Do we need a delegate and data source? Yes, just like a table view. We declare these in view.load in our location detail view controller right up where we do the same thing for a table view. Do we need protocols? Yep, there's a delegate and a data source protocol just like a table view. Are there required methods? Yep. Instead of the table view number of rows in section, we have a collection view number of items in section, and we also have a cell for item at instead of a cell for row at. Now, what else do we need to do? Well, we need to create an IB outlet for the collection view, just like we have an IB outlet for the table view. And if you create a custom UI collection view cell, which we are, we'll create a subclass of UI collection view cell, just like we did with a custom UI table view cell. And we'll set this file as the identity of the collection view cell on the main storyboard. Then we'll add the IB outlets in this cell to the subclass file, and we'll code it up with a property observer pretty much the same way we did with a table view cell. So let's do it. So first, let's create the IB outlet for our collection view. So I'll click on Location Detail View Controller because that's where we're going to put it. Option click on our main storyboard. And then I'm going to control drag from the collection view, not the cell, but the collection view itself. And I'm going to release this just under the IB outlet for the table view. And I'm going to call my collection view, lower camel case. And I'll click this X to close the main storyboard. And right in view.load, after I set the delegate and data source for my table view, I'll set them for the collection view. So I'll say collectionView.delegate equals self and collectionView.dataSource equals self. Then we'll adopt our protocols and we'll put our collection view methods in an extension just like we do with table view. So I'll type in extension, I'll copy the name of the class, location detail view controller, paste it in here, then say collection view data source and select UI collection view data source, and then comma collection view delegate and select UI collection view delegate, open and close curlies, wait for Xcode to tell me that I need some methods. Xcode, stub me. Now in our first function, number of items in section, all we need to do is return a value, so we'll say return, and collection view number of items in section is just like table view number of rows in section. So in the table view function, we returned weatherdetail.dailyweatherdata.count. So in our collection view function, we're going to return weatherdetail.hourlyweatherdata.count. Then in collection view cell for item at, we're going to mimic what we did in cell for row at with table view. So we had to create a cell. We'll do the same thing in the collection view. Instead of calling it cell, we'll call it hourly cell. So we'll say let hourly cell equals. Now for table views, we say tableview.dq reusable cell. Is there the same kind of thing for collection view? Let's see, collectionview.dq reusable cell, it's in there. And we'll select this one that says with reuse identifier and for index path. We didn't put an identifier in our collection view cell, so we gotta do that now. So head over to the main storyboard, make sure that you click on the collection view cell, not the view, but the cell, and we'll go up under the attributes inspector, and under identifier, we'll call this hourly cell, upper camel case. Then I'll highlight and copy this so that I know that I've got the spelling right, head back to location detail view controller, paste in hourly cell as the identifier. For 4, we just put index path lower camel case, and then I'll put in return hourly cell. Now before we can run, we've got to do a couple more things. First, we've got to reload our data for our collection view. Now remember, after we call weatherdetail.getData, we reload our table view cells. So we're going to do the same with the collection view. Right down here in our weatherdetail.getData call, right underneath where we reload the table view data, we'll say self.collectionView.reloadData, open and close parens. Now there's one more setting I should have made when we were configuring the collection view in the main storyboard. So collection views are actually really versatile. They can scroll both vertically and horizontally. And when you see a grid layout like the iOS Photos app, that's actually accomplished via collection view. You can even create your own custom collection views that are other shapes like circles. And Apple has lots of advanced tutorials that you can check out online. But for our simple collection view here, we just want to scroll horizontally. And this is an easy setting to overlook because the default scrolling is vertical. And if you miss this setting and you want a horizontally scrolling collection view, the scrolling won't work. So let's head over to the main storyboard and change this. Just make sure that you've selected your collection view, not the cell. Then go up under the Attributes Inspector. You'll see the third setting down is scroll direction. Vertical is the default. Just select horizontal. I'm also going to get rid of the scroll indicators. We don't want that look in this interface. So right under scroll view, under indicators, I'm going to check off the checkboxes for show horizontal and show vertical indicators. Then let's build and run, and this looks good. We actually have many more cells than we want because Dark Sky gives us back 48 hours of weather information. So we'll cut that back down to 24. And we're not seeing anything update in the cells because we haven't done anything to set up the user interface in the custom collection view cell. But our initial setup looks good. Now to limit our hourly weather to just 24 hours, let's return to weatherdetail.swift. And in getData, just before we loop through our response.hourly.data, this is what we'll do. We'll create a constant that will either be 24 hours or the number of elements in hourly weather data that we get back from Dark Sky, whichever is less, so that we never want more than 24 hours. Now, Dark Sky should always give us 48 hours of hourly weather data, but just in case, we can use the Swift min function, which will give us the minimum or the smallest of those two values. So we'll just say, let last hour, so that'll be the last hourly weather report we get, equals min, and then in parentheses 24, comma, response.hourly.data.count. So last hour is never more than 24, and if we have less than 24 hours of weather, we'll only use as many hourly reports as we have. Then we can swap out the end of the range here and use last hour instead. Now let's create a custom class for our collection view cell, and I'll do that just below the daily table view cell, so I'll right-click on that file, I'll select New File, this is a Cocoa Touch class, we're going to subclass the UICollectionView cell, so make sure that you have that as your subclass. It's UICollectionView cell, not just UICollectionView. And we'll name this Hourly Collection View cell. Select Next, select Create, and then let's option click on Main Storyboard so that we can create our IB outlets in our new class. And things get a little tight inside of the Collection View cell, so I'd recommend that you use the document outline, and you might have to dig to find those interface elements. So use the exposure triangle to go into Collection View, Hourly Cell, Content View, and then you'll see the labels in the image views. And if we try to control drag over, how come I can't create an IB outlet with this label? Can you guess what I forgot to do? Set the identity of our custom cell. So yes, we're subclassing a user interface element that's on the storyboard, so we gotta click on that item and use the identity inspector to specify its subclass. So I'll click on hourly cell, go into the identity inspector, under class, select hourly collection view cell, and now we can create our outlets. So I'll control drag over from the 13 p.m. label, and we'll call that hourly label lower camel case. Dragging over from the image view with the cloud in it, we'll create icon image view lower camel case. Control drag from 100 degrees, we'll call this one hourly temperature. Control drag from 100%, we'll call that one hourly precip probability. And finally, control drag from that raindrop, and we'll call that raindrop image view. And if we move our cursor over the circles to the left of each of the outlets, we can see that they are indeed connected to elements on our main storyboard. Nice! Now let's close the main storyboard, and remember, you can take a look at your daily table view cell as a guideline. And after we set up the IB outlets in there, we also created a variable daily weather, and we set it up as a property observer with a did set. So let's copy these two lines here. We'll paste them into our hourly collection view cell, then add a close curly and another close curly. Make sure you got the right number of curlies just as you see here. And we'll modify this so instead of saying daily weather, we'll say hourly weather, and that's of type upper camel case hourly weather. And remember to keep that exclamation point at the end for this implicitly unwrapped optional. Then in did set, we'll configure the user interface. So we'll say hour label dot text equals hourly weather dot hour. Then after that, icon image view dot image equals, and we're going to need to do a little bit more work here. So we'll just say UI image open and close parens for a blank or an empty image in there. We'll come back later and write a special function that will look at the icon strings we have in here and match them up with the symbol from SF Symbols. Then hourly temperature dot text equals hourly weather dot hourly temperature, and ho-ho, what is this type? Code completion tells us that the hourly temperature is an int, so we're gonna have to put this inside some string interpolation. So I'll go in front of this value, double quote, put a string interp in, double quote, highlight hourly weather dot hourly temperature, cut that out and put it inside the string interp. And just before the double quote, Shift Option 8 to put in a degree symbol. Then we have hourly preset probability dot text equals double quote, string interp inside hourly weather dot hourly preset probability. And just before the ending double quote, throw a % in that bad boy. Now we only want to show the preset probability and the little raindrop if our hourly preset probability is greater than or equal to 20, meaning 20%. So in this line, we'll put in an if statement. If hourly weather dot hourly preset probability greater than or equal to 20, open and close curlies. Then if that's the case, we'll take hourly preset probability, set it to dot is hidden parameter equal to false. And similarly, on the next line, we'll say raindrop image view dot is hidden is also equal to false. But then highlight these two lines, copy them, and we'll put in an else clause. Open and close curlies, paste those two lines in, but change the falses to true, because if our probability is less than 20, then we want to hide the preset probability and the blue drop. Now let's go back to location detail view controller and take a look how we update our custom table view cell. We set cell.dailyweather, that's our daily weather variable inside of our cell, to weather detail.dailyweather at indexpath.row. So let's do the same thing, but with hourly weather inside of our hourly cell. So we'll go down here into our collection view method for cell for item at. After we create our hourly cell, we'll say hourly cell, and we need one more step since this is a custom cell. Do you remember? Look at what we did up here for our table view. Again, one of the great things about building so many apps is that now you have all of these reference points to check your work and to use as a guideline. So here in our table view cell, we downcast this cell that we created after DQ reusable cell using as exclamation point to our custom daily table view cell class. So down here, we need to downcast our collection view cell with as exclamation point hourly collection view cell. After doing that, hourly cell knows about everything that's inside of our custom class hourly collection view cell, so we can say hourly cell dot hourly weather equals weather detail dot hourly weather data bracket indexpath.row close bracket. That'll call the property observer. That'll trigger the update of all of those interface elements in our custom collection view cell. Let's see how this works. Build and run. No errors. And we're not seeing our hourly weather icon in here because we haven't updated that code yet, but I specifically put Dallas in because I know Dallas is rainy. So if we scroll over, we can see, as soon as our precipitation possibility is above 20%, we can see that we've got our little icon and our precip percentage showing up. But if the percentage is below 20%, we're not going to show that value. Toronto looks like it's got some sleet in the forecast, but the hourly probability for the next 24 hours is under 20%. It looks like it's going to be later on in the week, but not for the rest of the day. Rainy in Dallas, looking good. Let's fix that icon. So back in hourly collection view cell, let's create a new function to get our icon image based on whatever dark sky has given us for the hourly icon image. So just before the last curly in the class, we'll create a function with func get icon image. I think that's a good name for this function. Open and close parens, open and close curlies. We're actually going to return a UI image. So after the parens, let's write an arrow and then UI image as the return type. And then inside the parens, we're passing in a string, which will be that icon name that dark sky suggests. So let's give this the parameter name, icon name, colon, and that's a string. Then up here where we set up our icon image views image, we'll get rid of this old UI image, which just created an empty image, and instead we'll say get icon image, and we'll pass in hourly weather dot hourly icon. Now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take a look at all of the possible icon names that Dark Sky might be suggesting through its API, and then assign those icon names to a particular image that's a symbol in Apple's SF symbol set. So let's go over to the Dark Sky API documentation. We'll take a look at what icon can give us. I'll click on response format in the left, scroll down until I find the icon value that's returned, and we can see all of these different names that could possibly be returned by this icon key. So just as a reference, I'm going to highlight all of these names on clear-day through tornado, copy it with a Command C, then I'll head back into my code, and I can use what I just copied as part of my switch case. So I'll say switch, icon name, which is the parameter that I pass in, open and close curlies, case colon, and you know what I'll do is I'll paste the lines that I copied down below, then highlight them one at a time, copy them, and then paste them in after case statements to use them as strings to identify cases in switch case. So I'll copy clear-day, then after the first case, I'll do quotes, paste it in, and then close double quotes. On the next line, I'll say case, space, double quotes. I'll highlight clear.night, cut it out, and then paste it in between the double quotes. So let me backspace over the ones that I've already pasted in. Then the next line, type in case, double quote, colon, highlight rain, paste it in here. And you know what? I'm going to highlight this line here that says case with rain and a colon in here. Copy it, and then I'm just going to paste in 10 different copies of these for the 10 remaining icons that I need to check for. Then I'll cut out snow, paste it below rain, delete rain from the front, then highlight and cut out sleet, paste it below snow, highlight and cut out wind, paste it below sleet, fog below wind, cloudy below fog, partly cloudy day below cloudy, partly cloudy night below partly cloudy day, then hail, thunderstorm, and tornado. I'll also add a default option in here, and then for my first return value right underneath case, I'm going to say return UI image, open bracket, and I'm going to select the option that says system name, so that will allow me to access any of the SF symbols. I just have to pass in a valid string name for that symbol. Now I downloaded the free SF symbol app that's in the Mac App Store, and I'm just going to Command T and bring up Spotlight, type in SF symbols so that you can see the symbols in here. If I click on weather, I can see all of the different symbols, and I scope these out in advance. So I'm going to type in the symbols that I think are the best match for the icons that I've got. But if you decide there are better icons or other ones that you want to use, feel free to go ahead and use them. So under the case clear-day, I'm going to return UI image system name sun.max, and that returns a sunshine. Then I'm getting an error in here right after my return statement, and that's because UI image system name returns an optional. So I'm going to select the fix to force unwrap this by adding an exclamation point at the end. Then I'll highlight my whole return line here from the return through the exclamation point, copy it with a Command C, then paste it in after each of the 13 remaining case statements, including the default, and then I'll change these strings. So after clear night, the system name is moon. After rain, it's cloud.rain. And I'll fix the format here by doing a Command A to select all and then a Control I to re-indent everything. Snow is snow. Sleet is cloud.sleet. Wind is wind. Fog is cloud.fog. Cloudy is cloud. Partly cloudy day is cloud.sun. Partly cloudy night is cloud.moon. Hail is cloud.hail. Thunderstorm is cloud.bolt.rain. Tornado is tornado. And for default, I'm going to pass in $.diamond. And if you're curious what that is, here it is in the SF symbols. I thought that was a good one. If for some reason I wasn't recognizing any of the valid icon names that Dark Sky was passing in. And let me add the colon that I forgot just after the case of clear-night. And you know what I'm going to do? It's better programming practice instead of force unwrapping this just in case I typed in something wrong. If I did, then UI image would return a nil and that would crash my app. So instead I'll use the nil coalescing operator. And in case the system name gives me a nil, I'll just create an empty UI image. I'm going to backspace over the exclamation mark, and I'm going to put in question mark for the nil coalescing operator, and I'll follow that with UI image open and close parentheses. So if the stuff on the left of the double question mark is nil, then it'll return the stuff on the right of the double question mark, which is an empty image. Then I'm going to highlight the space all the way to the end of UI image, copy that with a Command C. Then in each of these return statements, I'll backspace over the exclamation point and I'll Command V paste in the nil coalescing piece. Then I'll delete what remains of the string that I copied from the dark sky documentation. I'll Command A, Control I, just to double check to see if I've got the right number of curlies in here. I finish up with 3 curlies after the default statement. It looks like that's correct. The indentation looks fine. So we should be ready to go up here and build and run. No errors. We see lots of different icons and different temperatures in here for our collection view as we swipe. This looks fantastic. We swipe again. The icons are changing. Here we see Georgia Tech. They're in the same time zone as me, so look at the time is starting at 10 a.m., which is the same that you can see on my Mac clock in the upper right-hand corner. But if we swipe over to San Francisco, look at San Francisco's weather starts at 7 a.m., so the time zone is working perfectly. There's Boston College, there's Nairobi, Ouagadougou, and while I'm Saturday on my Mac, I can see that it's Sunday in Sydney starting at 1 a.m. So your app is looking fantastic. Hope you're feeling good about what you've done. We've got to get your location in here, then a few more user interface things, but this app is almost complete. You should feel skilled, Swifter.